thanks for joining me. My name's Adrianne and I'm a physiotherapist and yoga instructor here in Saskatoon. And I'll be guiding this yoga class on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis people. And so this class today is meant to be restorative. And so you can come exactly as you are. We'll be doing most of the work on the floor and spending a bit more time in supported postures. So because it's more of a supported class, I would recommend having some pillows, blankets around. I'll speak to some of the yoga specific props. There's a bolster here that I'm sitting on that you could use. A belt, if you have something like it, a belt or a scarf. And then something similar to a block. Again, I'll speak to being able to use pillows to replace it if you don't have a block. But let's get started in our practice today. So there's so much going on in the world. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge reality. But the more we can, I think, come home to our bodies and connect inside, the more we can navigate from a place that's true to us and navigate the things that come into us externally or into our lives externally. So let's just take a moment to bring the shoulders up and relax them down. And letting go of some of that busy mind, some of that distracted thought pattern. And start to come back into your body, your home where you live. And as you try and get quiet and get still, just notice what keeps coming up for you. And no judgment, let's just be aware of what's going on for us and inside of us. In the yoga practice, Father Joe, he's a yoga teacher. He talks about the yoga practice being a work in, not a work out. And so especially in a restorative practice, it's more mindfulness, more meditative. It's also physical. But there will be time for the mind to wander, so a little extra practice to bring it back to the present moment, back to breath. Okay, so getting in tune with how you're breathing. Letting go of any tension around the eyes, around the jaw. Soften your shoulders down. And now gently begin to deepen the breath, adding to the inhale. And deepening your exhale. A few more times, full breath in. And full breath out. See if you can do that while breathing in and out through the nose. So softly breathing in. Pause at the top of the inhale. Lengthen the back of your neck. And then exhale all your air. And see if you can find a slight pause at the bottom of your exhale without stress and without strain. And continue that one more time. So in this expansion of breath, we still don't want to feel like we're breathless. We're just gently going to the edges of our breathing patterns and practicing expanding them. So with your next inhale now, come nice and tall. And with your exhale, let your head come forward, chin to chest. Inhale, lift your head up. And exhale your head forward, chin to chest. Inhale, lift your head up. And with your exhale, side bend your right ear to right shoulder. So hopefully getting used to this rhythm of the way that we start, the way that we center. So let your shoulders soften down. Let your head gently go over to the side, not forcing it, just letting the weight of your head take you over. And if you find your torso starts to go with it, then just come back to that level shoulder position. And for more of a stretch, you might extend your left arm. Now let's see what happens when we rotate the chin up towards the ceiling and then lift it up. Okay, yeah, you might feel something more along here. Still breathing. And And turn your chin down towards the armpit and take a cycle of breath here. Inhale, lift your head up, replace your hand to your thigh, and exhale, go to the other side. Now taking the same care and attention, squaring off the shoulders, squaring off the head, and take a few moments just letting the weight of the head ease your neck over to the side. Noticing where we want to lean into and try to come back to that level position. And for more stretch, you might extend that right arm now and bring the chin up towards the ceiling and then lift the chin. Stay for a breath. And then turn the chin down towards the armpit and stay there for a breath. As we're met with intensity, let's try and remain calm with our breath. A nice practice. It's one of the biggest tools that yoga can bring, I think, to transform, is our ability to cope with stress by being able to control our breath. And inhale your head to center, replace your hand to your thigh, and then exhale your head forward, and then doing half circles with the neck. So just going side to side. It's a really cool thing. When the research that they've done on yoga breathing, they've noticed the same changes in those that practice yoga in terms of cardiovascular and lung capacity, same changes in those who practice yoga as those who run. So even though you're not maybe a runner, if you're an avid yogi, the breathing patterns can still create those same benefits. So let's bring the head back up to center, breathe in, and exhale. Hopefully you can notice your shoulders having a bit more ability to drop down. Let's inhale, shrug the shoulders up. Exhale, roll them down and back. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, shrug the shoulders up. Exhale, roll them down and back. 1 more time. Inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, roll them down and back. Now, if you find one of your ankles or feet are getting a little bit sleepy, then you can switch the position, and please adjust how you need at home. Okay, so now what we're going to do is extend the arms out nice and wide, and the tendency, I've spoken to this before, is to puff the chest out. Let's try and keep the chest elevated, but not collapsing in your back body. So can you find equal space around your entire torso? Taking a full breath in, rib cage widens. Full breath out. That's it. Expand your breath. Inhale. Find the top of the inhale and exhale. Stretch your hands down. Stretch the shoulders down. Inhale, creating space. Interlace the fingers. Flip the palms and reach. Yes, keep the height of the waist, and exhale, release your hands. So we could do this pretty mechanically and tuned out and, go here. Or we can tune in and really exaggerate and activate our body to create the space. And then release. 1 more time. Inhale, raise your arms. Interlace your fingers, flip the palms and reach. Exhale, release. Now keeping in mind that space, we'll inhale to lift the left arm up and exhale, side bend to the right. Stay here, rotating your left armpit towards the ceiling, and try to keep your left hip down if you can. Take a full breath in, reaching. Exhale fully. Now keeping the height of the waist. Inhale, rise up. That's another hidden way to say activate your core. And going to the other side. So rotating now your right armpit towards the ceiling. Breathe in, reaching. Exhale, rooting. 1 more time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, maintain the position. All right, inhale your hands into this prayer position. Bring the wrists down and we'll stretch and open up the wrists. So bringing the wrist down to the point where there's no pain in the wrist joint, but just a good stretch along the forearm. And staying here for a breath in and a breath out. If you you'd like to try, you can turn your fingertips to point down towards the ground and then start to bring the wrists up. Breathe in. Breathe out. And release. Last one here. Make a fist, flex the wrists, bend the elbows, and straighten the elbows. And so keep those shoulders relaxed down, keep the wrist flexed up, and the grip tight so that you can feel that stretch along the forearm. One more breath in. Deep exhale out. And release. Inhale, raise your arms up in front of you, look up. And exhale, twist over to the right. Setting your left hand on your thigh, your right hand behind you. Inhale to lift your chest, and exhale to rotate. So this could be more passive and using the leverage of your hands to twist, or this could be created from your core. If you're going to try and utilize both, then try to keep the lift of the spine, pressing down through the back hand to lift you up. And with your exhale, bring your belly button to spine to try and deepen the twist. A lot of cues there, but inhale to find length, exhale, deepen the twist. Even rotating your head if you can. One more breath. Then inhale to center, reach your arms up, stretch up, and exhale, twisting to the other side. Setting your hands, inhale, lift the heart, exhale, rotating. Same cues. Actively lifting, lengthening, and actively twisting through the abdominal muscles. One more breath. Inhale, come through center, reach your arms up, stretch up, and exhale, release. All right, let's come forwards onto hands and knees. You can keep that bolster nearby if you have one, or a pillow. So a nice thing with the bolster is you can use it to support the torso. So we're going to go right into a child's pose, bringing your knees wide, sit down towards your heels. It's really nice, if you've never tried it, to kind of support your torso with the bolster, and your head would turn to the side. So again, if you don't have a bolster, you could roll up blankets, or you could simply do the traditional way here. If you find reaching the floor is challenging, it's also nice to just rest your head on the bolster or the block. So whatever variation you choose, just choose the one that feels right for you. And in these restorative postures, it's a lot of mental work to try and let go. And once you've done any last little bit of fidgeting, then let's commit to staying in the position. And notice how hard it is sometimes to be out of distraction and to really be present. This is such a beautiful pose to start to expand the back body. So if you feel tension behind your heart or along your spine, this is a way we can direct the breath to move the ribs. When the abdominals are compressed, the way to increase the volume for breath expansion is through the back body. So let's do that a few times, breathing into the back body. Rib cage widens and expands. And exhale, ribs draw in. Do that a few more times, following the path of your breath. Notice where you're going in thought and come back to your body. If your head is to one side, you can turn it to the other side. 3 more cycles of breath with your head to the other side. Inhale to rise up. Move your bolster or your supports off to the side. And just notice if that maybe was hard for you to be in stillness. It's hard for many. And just notice it's easier sometimes to be doing things than it is to sit and stay. So now we'll start to reach the hands into the traditional child's pose. And then from here, walk your hands over to the left. as far as you can while keeping your right hip down, and then start to connect that right armpit towards the floor, really getting a nice opening along the right side of your torso. Let your head hang, or maybe it can touch the ground, but slow and deepen your breath, 2 cycles. Inhale, walk your hands to center and all the way to the right. Again, trying to connect the left hip down as you stretch the left armpit towards the ground. Breathing in, breathing out. Inhale, come back up, and we'll rise up to hands and knees, and bring your knees hip distance apart and stack them just underneath the hips and the wrists underneath the shoulders. We'll do a few cat-cows. So with your inhale, lift the heart, let the belly drop. Exhale, round the spine. Inhale, lift the chest, belly drops. Exhale, round the spine. One more time. Inhale, lift the heart, belly drops. Exhale, round the spine. And then come back to a neutral position. Keep the hips elevated and try to keep that tailbone coming up towards the ceiling as well. And then walk your hands as far as you can. And we'll do puppy dog pose, which is basically down dog from your knees. So we're still active in the arms and we're trying to stretch our chest down. Inner hands are pressing down. And really try and let the heart reach for the floor. If you're able to, the forehead might touch, but no stress if the head is maybe hanging a little. But keep trying to let the heart stretch towards the floor. Let the tailbone keep lifting up. And keep expanding your breath. 2 more cycles of breath. Inhale, walk your hands gently back underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes and lift your hips into downward facing dog. Let your head hang. Allow your breath to slow. Bend your knees as much as you need to keep that length in the spine. So try to recreate the length you had in the previous pose, here now in down dog. Come back to your body, noticing your breath, noticing where you go in your mind. No judgment, just noticing and coming back to your body, to your breath. Letting your head continue to let go. Slow the breath in. Deepen the breath out. We're staying here for a little, so if you need to come down at any time into child's pose or puppy dog, you just do exactly what you need. But eventually, let's try and connect the heels closer to the ground. They might not touch, but that's the direction, the energy where we're directing our effort. And start to slowly straighten the knees any amount. Slow the breath in. Deepen the breath out. Breathe in. Breathe out. 2 more times. Breathe in. Breathe out. Once more. Inhale. Exhale. Come on down. Okay. So this next variation is going to be for the ankles. So what I'd like you to try and do is bring your ankles together here as you sit back towards your heels. If there's a sharp pain in your ankles, when you do that, what you can do is roll up your mat and create a little bit of a lift underneath the ankles, and it will decrease the angle so it's not quite as uncomfortable. And if there's any knee pain, then you might need to skip this one. It might not be comfortable to go into this deep of knee flexion. But if possible, just notice when the heels come apart, try to have the heels together and try to sit back towards the heels. And you'll notice the tendency will be to go out of the weight bearing towards the heels, but try to go into a bit of the intensity, a bit of the discomfort. And we'll stay here, breathing in, breathing out. Notice where you feel tension, where you reflexively tense up when there's discomfort. And see if you can consciously let go and sit with the discomfort. Getting used to maybe being a little uncomfortable and then going beyond it and learning things about ourselves, what we can tolerate, what we can't. The more we can go into a little discomfort in the body, the more we can see changes in our physical body. The more length we'll get in a stretch, the more strength we'll get in a strength pose. Okay, inhale, come up. Now we'll tuck the toes. Same idea here. We'll try and have the mounds of the toes down and try to bring the heels together, the ankle bones together as you sit back. So for some people this is not a big deal. For others this is quite challenging. This pose is called toe screamer. So if you're feeling that's accurate for you, then we'll try and stay in a place of calm, and we'll try to keep the breath moving nice and steady and deep. Relax your jaw, relax any tension around your eyes. Slow the breath in. Deepen your breath out. One more time. Then inhale to come up. Now this next posture, we're going to cross the shins. So it's a little bit different to set up if you've never done this before. So my right shin is going to come just above my Achilles. So right in that spot, not the big part of your calf, but it's going to come right where the calf starts to narrow a little, right at that spot where it feels like a trigger point or a muscle knot. And it's uncomfortable. There's no doubt about it. Now we'll try and bring the weight towards the heels. You might be wondering, why are we doing this pose? Well, you know, I don't really know. We're doing this because it releases the tension in the calf muscles. So when we release a muscle knot in physio, when we get in there, it helps us to get more length and strength out of the muscle. So this is a way for you to do that on your own, to release that muscle a little bit in your calf. But if it is too much, you just put less weight through the heels. You might put more weight on your hands. If there's any knee pain, unfortunately, I prefer you skip this part of the class. One more breath. Then rise up. All right, we'll switch to the other side. So have your left shin. Now, right, find that spot where it touches again on the back of the calf muscle on the right side. So left shin on top of right calf, and then start to shift your weight into it. The good news is the more you do this, the less discomfort you'll experience. So it's worth it in a sense. 2 more breaths. 1 more. And come forwards. Release, and let's do just a brief down dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, and stretch that out. And you might notice your heels can go a little closer to the ground. So let's utilize this new length. Stretch your chest, stretch your arms, and try to connect your heels towards the ground. They might not touch, but that's, again, the energy. That's where we're sending it. Breathe in. Breathe out. Then look to your hands. Place your right hand next to your left and step your right foot right next to your right hand. So we'll set up into lizard pose. The back knee is going to come down. If you're on a harder surface, you might double up the mat here so it's a little softer. And you could also bring a block nearby. This is a nice time to have a block to support here if you need, or we'll get into the elbow position. So to start with, let's just place the hands here or on blocks if you need the floor, again, higher. That right foot, turn it 45 degrees out to the side. There's a lot of different variations in this pose. I'm just going to speak to a few. So the knee is going to track over the toes. And if you feel you're in a turtle back position, bring the floor up to you. Let's try and bring the chest forward, the spine long. So you notice I went from a rounded position to a long, extended position. That's how we get more into our hips, into those, dormant places that don't get a lot of attention. So let's stay here, breathing in. Keep trying to almost pull your chest forward. Breathe out. This is a wonderful place to stay. Maybe not the word you'd use to describe it, but it's a good place to stay if this is enough. If you want to explore, you could try bending your back knee and reaching for it with your right hand. So you notice there's a variation to open. You could open here, or you could close the shoulders. And that isolates a little more into the front of your left hip, your hip flexor. So let's stay here, breathing in, breathing out. Breathe in, breathe out. One more time, inhale, exhale, then release. Bring that block nice and close, and then walk your foot front and center and begin to lean back into half splits. So you can use 2 blocks if you like to come up tall if that's what you need. But try to bring your right hip back, your left hip forward to square your hips. Inhale tall, and then exhale, begin to bend forward if you need it. Start to bring that right toe up towards your shin. So this is a wonderful place to stay if it's enough. For those that want to explore, you could work into somewhere in between, maybe working towards a variation of full splits, where you're holding and supporting yourself. Or maybe you support on the block. But just trying to make sure that you bring your right hip back, your left hip forward, and meeting yourself exactly where you are. Breathe in. Breathe out. Once more, inhale. Exhale. Good job. Now to get out of this, it's not pretty. You just bring your leg to the side or however you need. And then we'll place the hands, tuck the toes, down dog. Slow your breath in. Deepen your breath out. Look to your hands, place your left hand next to your right, and step your left foot just off to the side and turn the left foot and knee to about that 45-degree angle. So same options. Option to stay upright here, option to come down to the elbows. Just notice how this side feels compared to the other side. Notice where your mind goes. Come back to body, to breath. When you're in discomfort, try to soften into it. And if there's still, it's hard to relax into it, then that means we need to back off the stretch a little. So no force, listening, and moving gently into some resistance. One more breath. Again, you could stay here or try and grab the back foot. You could also use a belt to hook the foot. Bending the knee just helps to add a little bit more depth into this stretch. So as we inhale, we keep trying to lift the heart. As we exhale, keep trying to sink your hips forward. 2 more cycles of breath. One more. The tighter side always seems longer, doesn't it? Okay, let's come forwards, setting up into our half split. So setting it up first, drawing the toes up, squaring the hips, so bringing your left hip back, right hip forward, and then begin to lean forward. And if you want to play around with exploring different lengths, different movements, then you try and support yourself. Again, without stress or strain, just exploring. Exploring and noticing what you need. 2 more breaths. One more. All right, slowly begin to come out. Moving your supports off to the side. If you want to flow through a little bit of a modified up dog, cobra to down dog, be my guest. Child's pose or down dog, whatever you'd like. Taking 3 breaths, just kind of resetting here. And setting up for pigeon pose. Inhale, lift your right leg up, and exhale, bring your right knee towards your right wrist. With your inhale, lift your heart. And with your exhale, begin to bow forward. So same thing here, we're trying to square the hips. And if you need to support your torso on a bolster, this is a nice place too to make it a bit more restorative. It's a little less intense, so instead of maybe a 5 out of 10, it moves to more of a 2 or a 3 out of 10. We still keep the breath moving nice and deep. Doing little subtle adjustments to change the intensity. So you might try and bring your right hip back, your left hip forward. You might even try to tilt your tailbone up to feel a different sensation in your right hip. But wherever you are, just try to stay with your deep ujjayi or your deep whisper breathing. Trying to restore, trying to nourish our nervous system with these longer holds and restorative class. Where did you go in your mind? Come back to your body and your breath. 2 more cycles. And inhale, begin to rise up. And we'll set up for the other side. So going through down dog. Some people like to stretch and open that leg. Be my guest. Do exactly what you need. And then we'll set up for the other side, lifting the left leg up and then bringing it through into pigeon pose on this side. So we'll square off the hips. Same options to use the bolster. And if you turned your head to one side, then make sure you turn your head to the other side here. So with your inhale, coming tall, with your exhale, coming forward. And we'll stay for 10 cycles of breath. So I'll just turn my head over now to the other side. And stay with your slow, deep breathing. Subtle adjustments as you need. And noticing. Last few cycles of breath. Where can you soften and let go a little more? Take a full breath in. As you exhale, begin to rise up, moving the support off to the side. If you'd like to flow through a little bit of a flow, you can. Maybe through low push-up to up dog, and then to downward facing dog. Come down to your knees. Now I'll turn and face you and grab your belt so it's handy. And we'll just stretch out the legs in front of us. And I find it really helpful sometimes to sit on a little blanket to help to shift my pelvis forward. So if you just want to sit on the edge of a mat or a blanket, that's helpful too. If you find that it's hard to sit here, if you find that your knees are bending quite a bit, just prop yourself up a little. So let's start in what's called staff pose with the hands beside the hips. And with our inhale, we'll lift the chest, draw the toes up, and actively lengthening the spine. I'm pressing my hands down, and I'm gently bringing my chin towards my chest. So visualizing your spine being as long and straight as you can. And active legs, active arms, soft face, relaxed jaw. Slow the breath. Then inhale, raise your arms up. Interlace the fingers, flip the palms, and reach. Exhale, bow forward. So if the feet feel very far away, then you use your belt. Wrap it around your hands. And you could do this with a straight spine, or you could even round your spine as long as it's not painful. So don't be too scared to move your spine. I know sometimes we hear that, but as long as it's not painful, it's okay. So try to draw the toes up towards the shins, maybe even grabbing the feet if you can. Let's all inhale to lift part way up, and exhale, bow forward. Doing that a few more times. Inhale, lift part way up, and exhale, bow forward. And then we'll stay here 5 more cycles of breath. Every exhale, try to go a little more forward. One more breath. Then interlace the fingers, inhale, rise up. Good, and exhale, release. So the next posture we'll do is a wide leg forward fold. So we'll bring the legs as wide as you can. Wide as you can tolerate. And this is also a pose that is nicely done on a little blanket just through the back part of your buttocks. And that way, again, it will bias your weight off of your tailbone and forward. So let's start with the hands behind us, and with your inhale, lift your chest, long spine. This is often enough to feel a good sensation and a stretch in the inner thighs. But if it's not enough, then that's when you start to walk your hands forward. So again, meet yourself where you are, no judgment, just give yourself what you need. And because it's a restorative pose, I like to give the option to support so that you're not holding and straining here. Let's try and maybe support the forehead. Sometimes it looks like 2 blocks and a standing up bolster. So some people hug bolsters. Like just do
what feels safe and comfortable, and where you feel like you could stay for a few breaths, where it doesn't feel like you're, torturing yourself. It feels like something you're doing for yourself. The way to keep the mind here is to keep your breath nice and deep, and keep your awareness on your breath. As you begin to deepen into this, you might be able to lower the support, so just responding as your body opens. And inhale to rise up and bring your right arm just inside your right leg, or maybe your right elbow inside your right leg. Left hand to your hip. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, rotate. You could stay here, or maybe you lift that arm all the way as far as it'll go. Sometimes it just gets stuck, but if you can, you might try and reach and twist. Keep reaching and twisting, breathing. One more breath. All right, come through center all the way to the other side. Left hand inside the left leg. Reach that right hand maybe to your hip, or all the way up and over if you can. No judgment, just take what you need. It's all good. And try and breathe. Two more breaths. Last few. And inhale, rise up. Okay, bring your hands to help your legs together. And we'll set up for another restorative, but for real this time, restorative, less intense, a heart opener. So we'll use a bolster or something like it, a rectangle shape, folded blankets. Just make sure it has a discernible edge here. And then something for your head. The key is we just want to make sure the chin isn't poking, so the forehead is above the height of the chin. Okay, so begin to lay back here, and the edge of the blankets or the bolster will come just underneath the armpits, and my head will be supported here. So the legs might be in, if this feels okay, a butterfly position, or they might be straight. If there's any kind of back pain, this is a really great place to be, with your knees together and your feet wide, so you don't have to hold the legs. It can just active, constructive rest here. Okay, so to get more into the chest, we try and bend the elbows, and we'll do just some gentle movements of the hands up and down along the floor. So the elbows will come down to the support, and see if you can keep the wrists and elbows in contact with the floor as you bring them up and down. It's kind of like a modified snow angel. Still keeping the breath nice and smooth and deep. And then find that point where you feel the deepest stretch and stay there. And focus on expanding the rib cage. Breathing out through the mouth if you need. If possible, try to keep the breath moving in and out through the nose. It just helps us to maximize filtration. It warms the air so we can absorb more oxygen. And it slows the path of air. But if it's stressful to breathe through the nose, just try and slow the breath out through the mouth. With your next inhale, press your hands down, maybe your elbows into the bolster or roll to one side. Then we'll move the prop off to the side and the head support off to the side. And we'll set up for a supine twist. Okay, so as you lay down here, we'll bring the knees, hug them into the chest, just roll side to side, rock and roll along the spine. And then bring the arms open again into that cactus arm position. And then let the knees twist over to the left as you look to the right. Again, slowing your breath, try to keep the shoulders down and in contact with the floor. And then we deepen the breath along the rib cage here. That's where we tend to feel some resistance, some restriction is right as we're trying to expand the ribs out to the sides and almost into the back body. So breathe into the resistance. One more breath. Good. Then inhale your legs up to center. And we'll twist to the other side. So the legs will go to the right as you look over your left. Again, try to keep the shoulders down. Sometimes I've often used a weight or a block in my hand to just help to anchor that side down. So that's an option, or you could prop up the legs. Just looking off to the left as your legs go to the right, and stay here for 3 more cycles of breath. Expanding on the inhale, deepening the twist on the exhale. 2 more times. After your full exhale, inhale your legs up to center and hug them in to your chest 1 more time. And you can either bring the knees wide to really anchor down through and release the sacrum, or you could bring your hands into Happy Baby. So with Happy Baby, you grab outside of your feet and pull your knees down towards the ground. And you just gently rock side to side. Kind of be playful with this, noticing how far you can go before you're going to tip over. And then release. And we'll set up for Shavasana. So letting your legs come out long. Support your head if you need. If you want to lay in a bolster, do that. Once you're set though, let your arms come open, your palms to the ceiling, your legs wide. And slow and deepen your breath in. And exhale, sigh out your mouth. Let go of any breath control. Let go of any tension around your eyes, your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. Just try to let the floor, the supports, hold you. Allowing your nervous system to feel safe, to let go, to relax. Try to keep your thoughts out of places that tense you, out of the to-do list, out of the action and into the listening, the restoring. We'll stay here for just a few more minutes, so please give yourself this time to just rest. If you need longer, please stay longer at home. But for those that are ready, let's start to deepen our breath. Start to bring some little movements back into your body. Start to reach your arms, stretch your legs. Bend one knee at a time and roll on to one side. And then slowly come back up to sit. And we'll sit on a support or a block, whatever you have. And we'll just end the session in this nice tall sitting position, but just first taking a moment to adjust. Taking a moment to come back into your body, to experiencing hopefully new space, new length. Come back into your breath. Exhale fully. Inhale. Exhale. And thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you have a wonderful day.